Hello, we're back. I have no idea where we left off.
We were talking about Tim Markham.
Yes, but when did we shut off?
Oh.
We're gonna go back and find out where broadcast shut off. I don't. Sorry, folks. Don't know what happened. Didn't recognize that it wasn't on. My producer's sleeping at the wheel today. You gonna find out where we left off?
I can't do that.
You can't do
Actually, you know what? Yes, I can because it records back to. Okay. Cool.
What?
I can go back to the videos and see where we left off.
Well, while he's figuring out where we left off, what I was saying, I'll just kind of go through everything really quickly. 72 years ago today was Pearl Harbor Day. Wanted to mention that. Had a death this week, Nelson Mandela, 95 years old. Many of you probably know who he is by now, but he was in prison in South Africa for 27 years under the apartheid rules. And big activist. Once he came out, was president for a little while. And as I was telling our co-host here, and I think we were off here when I said it, that Nelson Mandela was actually on the United States terrorist watch list up until 2008. A lot of people are unaware of that, believe it or not. And so that was kind of some sad news this week. Also this week, as I was saying, if you are a regular listener of the show, you all know that Zach and I are big proponents of, or fans of the Arena Football League and our local team here, the Tampa Bay Storm. Former head coach, general manager, and legendary coach actually of the Arena League, Tim Markham, passed away this week as well. I was on the phone the other day with a friend of mine, Derek Brooks. Many of you may know, former Buccaneer, Tampa Bay Buccaneer linebacker, likely 2014 Hall of Fame inductee. I was talking to him the other day, and he was actually in the process of dealing with that death and let me know about it. So that's sad news for the Storm family, and so we're saddened by that. I've had a lot of interaction with Tim Markham over the years. Always a nice guy, always a fun guy. We partied a couple times after some games. Actually had a New Year's 1 year spent with him and one of his ex-wives. But a really good man, and it's going to be sad to not see him come around anymore. So.
You were actually good. We actually left off right there.
Okay,
started with Tim Markham, so you actually did a phenomenal job. Good job, Steve.
Excellent.
Yes.
All right. So anyway, what have you been up to, sir?
Well, you see, I went to the doctor, and it turns out I have to get my tonsils out over the break, my Christmas break. I have to get a sinus surgery done over my break. And, of course, this is the best part, I had an ingrown toenail ripped out.
Oh, come on. Don't talk about that. That's disgusting.
Well, you asked what I've been up to.
Well, I don't need to know that kind of detail. That's disgusting.
Well, I could show a picture of it.
No.
Okay.
No.
And then really, other than that, I've just been getting ready for Steinbrenner's upcoming football season. We're starting spring in January. So, yeah, that's really been, my life isn't too interesting.
Okay, well, fantastic. I'm so glad I got to hear about that ingrown toenail.
Oh, it hurts so
bad. My day is now complete. Anyway, I do want to mention we do have a couple unofficial sponsors, and you'll see me drinking this today. Monster, unofficial sponsor, but since I drink it all the time, I would be remiss for not mentioning them. I also want to promote my karate school, Tampa Bay Tank Sudo Center, under Grandmaster Michael Baird. For those of you who don't know, Grandmaster is a rank of 8th Dan, or 8th degree black belt. I am also an instructor at this school. If you're interested in taking any martial arts, we are running some specials, $29.99. I believe we're doing 10 classes, which also includes a uniform. To come check us out. We're in South Tampa, just off of... it's kind of South Tampa, right off of Himes and Lincoln. Anyway, so come check us out if you're interested, and we do have a Facebook page for the school. We also do have a website, tbtsdc.com, if you're interested in kind of checking us out. Anyhow, So, moving on. What shall we talk about first? We've got a lot of stuff going on this week.
We do, and we could really get to what the callers want. They want the football. You know, we can do college, we can do pro, we can do high school, we can do youth football. We can do any football.
That's true. But we do have NFL picks we're going to do. We're going to do our NFL picks. We're going to touch on some of the today. Got some college football going on today. The last real week of college football before all the bowl games. So we got some championship games on today. We'll talk about a little bit about that.
I'm dying over here.
He is dying over here. He's got something up his nose.
Feels like I have a duck crammed up my nose.
Anyway, so we'll talk about some of the championship games, specifically, mostly the good ones. There's some on there that just really don't mean a whole lot in the grand scheme of things. But if you have anything you want to talk about or you want to chime in again, you can call us live at 813-344-9964 or text to the same number, 813-344-9964, or go to our Facebook page, 2 Cents. Sports, News, and Entertainment Podcast, and you can get on the chat board there and communicate as well. So, had a little incident. It's come out the last couple weeks. I believe it was finally resolved now, and I'm referring to famous Jameis Winston. As you can see, I am wearing Florida State gear. I am a fan of Florida State, but I also know when I have to be unbiased. Wanted to let this play out. Many of you know that he was linked, I want to say linked because he was never charged with anything, to a possible sexual assault on a young lady. And this happened back in December of last year, so about a year ago. And for whatever reason, the case was suspended. My understanding is that she just didn't want to pursue the matter, and therefore matters like that do get suspended. Word got out. Some media got a hold of this story and dug a little deeper. Basically forced the Tallahassee Police Department to kind of reopen the case, and once they did that, they did have to present it again to the state attorney's office, which did take a couple weeks to review everything. We won't cover the whole story here. There's a lot of details about the story and things that came out, and bottom line is that once they did the investigation a little bit more in detail, there just wasn't enough evidence to charge Jameis Winston with any kind of crime. Making a long story short, her stories weren't adding up. They changed from her and her friends. The versions of the story changed. Her recollection was shabby, yet she claims that she was too drunk to remember, and that's possible. However, the talk screen came back and showed that she really wouldn't have been in a situation where she would have been too intoxicated to not remember anything. The key thing for me is that they also determined that there was a second set of DNA that was found. That's awfully disturbing. So when it boiled down to it, there just wasn't enough evidence, and there were too many holes and not enough to really push the matter further, and therefore no charges filed. For all intents and purposes, Jameis Winston is clear and innocent of anything, of all things, and life goes on.
Well, when you sit here and think about it, any part, because Jameis Winston's the top candidate to win the Heisman Trophy.
Well, you pretty much consider saying that he's the fourth. He's probably going to win it in a landslide.
Right, and think about this. Why does it seem like, and it's happened? I can name a couple incidents right off the top of my head. Why does any time someone gets at the top of their game and going to win the Heisman or pretty much going to win, something comes up? Have you thought about that? When Johnny Manziel was at his peak, they were going to figure all of a sudden the school was paying him and he was accepting money and this and that. Mm-hmm. With Manti Te'o, the whole girlfriend scandal, that was all, and it was all, and it was top. No, it's with Jameis Winston. I don't think it's a coincidence I mean, I do think it's a coincidence.
Well, here's the thing, though. When you got more attention drawn to you, you're going to have more people involved,
Yeah.
more media paying attention, and you're going to have people wanting to find dirt. They're going to dig more.
Yeah.
You know, if you're not in the limelight and you're just kind of going about your business and so forth, they're going to leave you alone for the most part.
Yep.
But when you're at the forefront of number one team in the college football, leading candidate for a Heisman Trophy, you're going to draw a lot of extra attention, and there's going to be people out there. They're going to want to try to find anything and everything to bring you down.
Yep.
And if it's out there and there is some bad stuff out there, I'm all for bringing it out to the surface.
Absolutely.
I mean, honestly, I had no idea that this ever happened. I'm glad that it did come back out to the forefront. I was extremely nervous.
Apparently, the girl that filed charges didn't remember either.
Yeah. I was nervous about it, but I also wanted there to be, I wanted the truth to come out.
Yeah.
And if he was guilty of it, then there was going to be punishment, and Florida State would have to move on. It sorted itself out, and so still move on. And it's frustrating because it takes me back, and I'm not trying to compare it in any way, shape, or form to the Duke lacrosse scandal a few years back, which was a total scam. They try to charge these young men with, gang rape. This woman, the program was shut down.
Yep.
Kids were suspended. They were raked through the coals. And turns out the woman was lying the whole time. And, these young men had to go through what they had to go through. The program suffered briefly. And all for naught, because she was lying. And now, ironically enough, a few years later, now she's up on trial for murder.
We got a comment real quick from Mike.
Hey.
Mike says, she is only an accuser. Girl didn't file charges. Girl can't file charges. It is up to state.
Well, she can decide if she wants to pursue charges or not. She can say, I don't want to press charges. The state does still have the option, yes, to file even if she doesn't want to. You're absolutely correct about that.
Thank you, Mike, for your comment.
At least that's my understanding. So, and if it's the Mike I think it is, he probably knows more than I do.
And I know, well, here's my thing is Mike is also was actually a player at Florida State. I believe he told me that for a very short time. And Mike, if you'd like to call in about your comments on this, I'm going to send you I'm going to send you the number right now. Anyway, I'm sorry about that. Just let's get rolling with the story.
But, well, that's about it. So, I'm glad it came out now. So, Florida State can move on. Jameis can focus. Still got the Heisman votes coming. Deadline, I believe, is tomorrow. More than likely, he's going to win it. They just take care of business tonight against Duke and on to the BCS national title game against somebody.
Right.
And we'll get into that a little bit when we start talking about our picks. So, I guess if we're talking about it, let's move into it, right? Let's move into college. Let's move into college since we're talking about tonight's game. Go Noles. Florida State does play Duke tonight for the championship, ACC championship. 29-point spread, I believe, is what it is, in which, Florida State has pounded every single one of their opponents this year that they have faced. As it's sorted out, their schedule ends up not being as strong as it was at the time they were playing certain teams. However, at the time that they were playing these certain teams, one was ranked number 3, another one was ranked number 7. They destroyed another team by over 50 some odd points that was ranked 25 at one point. There is an eye test. You play the schedule that's in front of you, and when you're absolutely annihilating each and every one of your opponents by more than 37 points, I believe they're beating each of their opponents by an average of 37 points or something like that, which is only happened one other time in college football history. That doesn't really mean anything if your schedule's weak.
Right.
If you're destroying your opponents like that, then that's exactly saying, well, yeah, my schedule maybe weak, but we're also doing what we're supposed to do with a weak schedule, and that's destroy our opponents and impose our will, and that's what Florida State does. As opposed to certain other schools we will mention later
Yeah, I mean,
that struggle against teams that are mediocre, play in a mediocre conference, and squeak by.
right, and the fact that I have people telling me that Florida State's conference or what Florida State's schedule wasn't that difficult. Give me a break. They played a ranked Clemson. They played a ranked Miami.
Mm-hmm.
They played some pretty damn good teams.
Yeah, and some of those teams have slipped as the year went by. I mean, Clemson, they did lose to South Carolina their last game of the season. SEC schedule. Miami slipped after losing to Florida State. They ended up losing 2 more times. They do what Miami does, but I still think that the Clemson win was huge. At the time, Clemson was undefeated. They were ranked number 3. It was at Clemson, at Death Valley, prime time night game at 8:30 at night. That is a huge and dangerous place to go into. Say what you want about Jameis Winston. He was, still a redshirt freshman, never been in that position before, and he couldn't have been more poised. And they went in there and they beat Clemson. Handed Clemson their worst home loss ever in the history of that program. And I say ever because that program has been around for a long, long time, folks. It's been a successful program for the better part of their existence. So that's saying something.
Absolutely.
There aren't a lot of teams that could have walked into that situation and come out of there with a win, let alone just absolutely dominate. Clemson was never in that game at all.
Right.
And that says something. And so when I say that's an eye test, you can beat a mediocre football team, but when you do what Florida State's been doing to their opponents, you're beyond mediocre. You take mediocre to another level.
Right. So. I cannot physically say that Florida State is going to lose to Duke. So I am picking Florida State to win this game. But anyway, Duke's coach should win Coach of the Year. And I say that because has Duke ever had a program this successful?
They did for a couple times, not quite this successful. This is clearly the best that Duke has ever done. And they're 10-2. I mean, there's nothing to sneeze at. I mean, granted, Duke hasn't played the greatest schedule in the world, but it's freaking Duke. Duke football is awful, folks. I mean, it's just always been. They've been the every conference has their doormat, and Duke has been ACC's doormat for a long, long time. So, I'm kind of proud of them. It's good. It mixes it up a little bit, and I'm glad that it's not an opponent that Florida State's faced already, because that doesn't help any.
No, not at all.
When the ACC, invited a couple other teams in, the Virginia Techs, the Miamis, Boston Colleges, and then they split into divisions so they could have their own division championship. The whole idea, and the reason actually Tampa hosted the first 3 the ACC championship games here in Tampa. But the idea when they first did that was that, it's going to be Florida and State, Miami facing each other in the ACC championship game. What a great thing that. It's not happened yet. In fact, this is actually the first ACC championship game Florida State's been in.
Right, and I mean, I remember, I believe it was 2006. I was here and saw the Boston College take on Virginia Tech.
Yeah, I mean, that's what we got stuck with.
Stuck with?
Well, yeah.
Well, okay, you're right. I gotta be unbiased here. You are right. There may have been 3,000 fans there.
Yeah.
If that.
For attraction purposes, and I realize you got some love for Virginia Tech because your dad and all, but. I'm talking about a prime matchup, championship
I completely
game.
understand.
I mean, not Florida State and Duke is prime matchup by any means, because this is, there'll probably still be more Florida State fans in Charlotte for this game than there will be Duke fans. That all they have to do is travel down the road. My point is that the first 3 years that the ACC championship was here in Tampa, we were getting those matches. We were getting Virginia Tech and Boston College, Georgia Tech and Boston. I was like. You got to be kidding me. So I personally I'd like.
Are
to
you
watch
telling me
it.
that Georgia Tech and Boston College is in a premier game that should be televised
Yeah,
everywhere?
exactly.
Come on.
But at any rate, we are where we are, and so
Yeah. So Florida State,
Florida State easy.
I think Florida State by a margin of 29.
Well, they'll cover the spread.
Yeah.
I mean I don't have any doubt about that. I think they did just enough last week to cover the spread against Florida.
Yep.
I think they eased off the gas a little bit on that one. It was closer than I would have liked after the first half, but I knew coming in the second half it would turn the tide, and it did, and the Gators got spanked.
Yeah, they did. Makes me happy to see them
Finally.
get their ass kicked every time. I cannot stand Muschamp.
4-8. 4-8.
You know what? I guarantee you, any other year I never would have done this. I actually bet money with somebody on Georgia Southern. I did. I told them that Georgia Southern would win, and sure enough, they did. Sorry, Coach Ennis. I know you're listening. Coach Ennis is my weight training coach. He went to Florida. He's the biggest Florida fan ever. So, your team sucks. And I told you that multiple times.
That's brutal. Well, everybody had high expectations about that team because they finished, 11-2 last year. They did get the best of Florida State at the end. I'm still not sure how that happened, but if you really look back at Florida's year last year, 11-2 is nothing to sneeze at. But it was done with a lot of smoke and mirrors. They had about 3 games that they were lined up to lose, and their defense came up big. And they almost lost to Southwest Louisiana.
Yep.
If it weren't for a blocked field goal attempt and some crazy stuff, they would have lost that game. So, you got to kind of look at the teams realistically as well. I didn't expect they would go 4-8 this year, but my God,
Well,
there's
happy they did.
dude. There's no excuse for a program like that to ever go 4-8. I mean,
No,
even when Florida State was downtrodden just a few years ago, they were still at least finishing 7-6 for crying out loud, and they weren't losing to Division II or 1AA schools or FBS schools, whatever they call them now. You just don't do that. Your talent alone should be able to overcome that. So
Right.
it's just kind of crazy.
Not at all.
It's
No
kind of
excuse.
crazy. But anyway, folks, we're going to take a quick break here and just kind of we'll touch back up on the college football program stuff here. Do some picks on the other games coming up. This was just kind of a good transition piece. So we're going to just get a quick break, and we'll be right back with you.
With the new year coming up, many people are going to be heading back to the gym and trying to lose weight. Nutrition is key, so if you want to have awesome results and compete in a 90-day challenge where you can win free product, prizes, and vacations, join the Body by V Challenge with 2013 finalist Joe Beretta. The website is www.joinvi4.com. And remember, tell them 2 cents, sports, news, and entertainment sent ya.
I wish you would step back from that ledge, my friend. You could cut ties with all the lies that you've been living in. And if you do not want to see me again, I would understand. I would understand. The angry boy a bit too insane. I sing over a secret pain. You know you don't
All right, folks. Sorry about the long break there. I was just trying to figure out some other technical difficulties and figure out why my own personal speakers weren't working, and my dumbass.
Well, it wouldn't be a 2 Cent Sports News and Entertainment show without some technical difficulties
This
somewhere.
is true. This is true.
Yes, it is.
Oh well, it happens. We move on, and I can still play.
Why am I doing this? I'm going to tech for What's going on?
Okay. Anyway, I had to get that in. Now, when it comes to college basketball season, though, which has started already, we will probably switch gears and talk about some UConn basketball. But since we are back on college football, I got some other games going on today. And how many people saw the Auburn-Alabama game last week?
I did, Coach.
I saw the end of it. I was at a reunion function last weekend up back in Connecticut. Had an awesome time, one of the best Thanksgivings I've ever had. Anyway, I was able to, while I was waiting, and got to see the end of that game. And I'm like, are they really going to kick this? And I jokingly said to my friend I was standing there with, I said, watch this guy. And of course, he's not a sports fan, so he didn't really understand what I was saying. Anyway, it's like, you watch. He's going to catch it and watch him run it back to end this game. And sure as shit, if that didn't happen. Auburn pulling up the huge upset against Alabama. I mean, crazy stuff.
Saban to Texas.
What?
Saban to Texas.
Is it official?
No, but he will go.
Yeah, we'll see. It's been thrown out for a few weeks now. Switching gears, I guess, from what I was already talking about.
Saban's with Alabama.
Saban's with Alabama. Yeah, all right. Well, that's a distraction, but that's not the transition I was going into. Yes, Texas has more money to offer than any other college football team in the country. It's quite possible. Saban's been at Alabama long enough now. His wife has already come out and posted stuff about how they're not, they're being taken for granted and they're not getting appreciated and blah, blah, blah. It's all posturing, folks. They're setting it up for the next big payday, and it's time for Saban to move on. This is the longest he's ever been at one place. There's no arguing that he's probably one of, if not the best college football coach in the history of the game. I wouldn't be surprised if he ended up going to Texas. I don't think there's much that Mac Brown can do about that. Texas is their money, their pockets are pretty deep, so I could see it happening. We'll see. But anyway, getting back to the game, kind of brings up the Auburn and Missouri SEC championship game today. For a lot of people, especially here in the South, this is probably the biggest game going on. It's at 4 o'clock this afternoon in Atlanta, Georgia, in the Dome, which is quite a shame because neither one of these teams play inside. I hate the SEC championship game for this exact reason, that it is played in a dome.
You're good. Keep going. Keep
I
going.
thought you were trying to say something.
Nope. If I say, I just interrupt.
Okay, well that's true. You've been known to do that from time to time. So if you're just if that's what we're gonna do, then I'll just transition over here and talk about it myself. But anyway, I think this is a huge game. I just don't like that the SEC game is SEC championship games played indoors. They all play outdoors.
You're not on the air yet. Let me get you out.
Actually, we have a phone call.
Yes, we do.
All right.
All right.
Who do we have on the line?
She did give the name. So, Lisa, you're on with 2 Cent Sports News and Entertainment. Hi, Lisa.
How you doing this morning?
We're good. We're peachy, but we're good.
How you doing, Lisa?
I'm good. I've had some banter with Zach throughout this whole college football season.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, probably 4 to 6 weeks ago, when Ohio State just 4 to number 3. Zach said, nah, it's not going to happen. And it did happen. And then he told me that they would jump from 3 to 2.
Well,
But-
Zach's got a lot to learn yet about football. That's one thing I can tell you. Continue.
So it all comes down to, what's going to happen this weekend.
That's true. That's very true.
If we beat Michigan State, how can we not be in the championship?
If.
Well, that is a big if, but you're right. You're absolutely correct. I don't think that there's a lot of argument out there that a one-loss SEC team is better than anybody in the Big Ten. And
You know what? I don't mean to interrupt you, but I'm so sick and tired of hearing that a one-loss SEC team is better than an unseeded team in any other conference, because those SEC teams are playing against each other, just like Big Ten teams are playing against each other.
Right.
And the bottom line is 24 wins
Lisa, are you
for
aware?
itself.
Lisa, are you aware that Ohio State until today has not played a top 15 team in 2 years?
Don't go there.
Well, Lisa, I'm not trying to argue with you. I'm just bringing up a point. You're trying to defend that Ohio State hasn't lost a game in 24 games, which is, there's something to be said for that. There's no taking away. You play the schedule that's in front of you, but they have not played a top 15 team until today. So would you?
So I guess we'll see what happens today.
Well, that's correct, and this will be their biggest test that they've had in 2 years. That's my only point. I'm not trying to take
Well,
away.
I have to ask a question.
Mhm.
The SEC, if the SEC is so great, how did the Gators lose to Georgia Southern?
Because the Gators are awful this year. They've had multiple injuries, including both of their number 1 and 2 quarterbacks.
Well, if the SEC isn't so great, why have they won the last 4 national championships?
But they're not even in it this year, are they?
They have a good possibility. If Michigan State beats Ohio State, you can guarantee that Auburn or Missouri will be playing in the national title game. And
Well, like you said before, that's a big if.
it's not a big if, though, because the one thing that Ohio State hasn't faced all year is a decent defense. Michigan State's got the top-rated defense in the country right now, and it's not anything that Ohio State's been able to muster. I will say this. I do not believe it's Ohio State's year this year. I do believe next year they will be formidable. Ohio State's weakness right now is their defense, which is actually one of the worst in the country, and that's what's going to
I'm not
ultimately
going
beat
to
them.
disagree with you.
I think that
And
they're young.
Unfortunately, Braxton and Carlos have had to carry all the wins
Mm-hmm.
because the defense isn't stopping the opponent.
Right.
So Braxton and Carlo have to run up the point.
Yeah, that's
But
true.
I think we're gonna do that again today, because I gotta tell you, there's a lot of heart there.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, absolutely.
Well,
A lot of heart.
Yeah, and I'm not saying Michigan State's going to beat them, but I do believe that they can. What my concern would be is that Michigan State's offense isn't all that great, and so even if their defense holds Ohio State even to half the points that Ohio State normally scores, I'm not so sure Michigan State can score enough even at that point.
And
So
Ohio State has
Agreed.
a phenomenal offense.
their offense is absolutely wonderful, but
It is.
they're still also giving up 35 points to teams like Illinois,
Yep.
40 some odd points to Michigan, who was held to negative 48 yards rushing against this same Michigan State team that Ohio State's facing today. And if I'm not mistaken, Michigan ran for over almost 200 yards against Ohio State, if I'm not
Yes,
mistaken.
they did.
So I don't think it's just going to be that easy. You've got to put things into perspective.
I don't think it's going to be easy. I think it's going to be one of our toughest games of the year.
Mm-hmm.
And, the whole rivalry between Ohio State and Michigan, lately it's really spilled over with the Spartans, too.
Right.
No doubt.
Yeah, and Lisa,
But there's so much heart in that team,
Mm-hmm.
and today is for all the chips.
oh, no question, Lisa. And listen, I'm from Iowa originally. I'm originally a Big Ten guy myself, and I still I watch a lot of Big Ten football still. So, unfortunately, and no offense, I hate Ohio State, but a lot of people do. But they have a big following here, and I think this is going to be a great game. It's probably going to be the best game on TV today. In all honesty, I'm looking forward to watching it. And listen, Ohio State goes undefeated. You are going to be in the championship game. There's no doubt in my mind. All I was saying is that there'll be an argument to be made that the winner of Auburn, Missouri, deserves a chance in there. But I don't think that there's any way, in my opinion, that if you have another undefeated team, at least it plays at least in a major conference, you can hold them out of a national championship title.
You can't.
Well, if Florida State goes down,
Well, I mean, hey, and let me tell you.
Hey, they do play the games for a reason. It could happen. It could happen.
listen, a lot of people didn't think that Auburn was going to beat Bama either, and that was just crazy and insane.
There's a big difference between number 5 Auburn and Duke. I'm going to tell you. But
and I understand why you say that you hate Ohio State because you're from Iowa and you watched a lot of Big Ten football.
Yeah.
But Zach knows I'm not just a Buckeye fan. I graduated from Ohio State.
That's awesome.
No, Lisa's die hard.
Yeah.
She really is.
Hey, Lisa, no one's not. Look, I'm not knocking your team. I hope you don't think that that's what I was doing.
Not at all.
I appreciate the banter. You know your stuff. There's no question about it. But I wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't kind of counterpoint, some of the things and just bring up some stats to kind of consider and think about.
And for like the last almost 10 years, it seems like we've always had to defend everything. When we won the national championship against the Hurricanes,
Sort of.
people are still. Did you just say sort of?
Sort of. Come on now, you look back, you know that was a bad call. But
people
anyway.
are still talking about that call.
And they're going to, unfortunately. But go ahead. Go ahead.
Ohio State, we were made an example of. The whole thing with Tressel and Terrell Pryor. I mean, come on, let's talk about the things that have gone on with recruiting all over the NCAA.
Yeah. Oh, it's bad. It's bad everywhere. There's no question about it. And every team at the top is going to, it's kind of what I was talking about with certain players. When they get to the top, you're going to have more people involved, and they're going to be digging more, for the dirt. And when your team's on top, your team's going to get more attention. It happened to Florida State, back in the 90s. It's just the nature of the beast.
I remember those guys were going into Dillard, and the salespeople at Dillard in Tallahassee were giving them stuff.
Yep. That was the Peter Warwick incident,
and nobody's talking about that right now. But for some reason, everybody has such a long memory when it comes to the Buckeyes.
Well, it too will pass. I mean, it's been 20 years since the whole FSU Footlocker thing. I haven't heard much about that in a long, long time. I think we lost her.
No, we didn't.
Oh, we didn't?
Lisa,
We got another call coming in. But you're right. Well, it's going to be a good game today, Lisa.
Absolutely. I don't want to take up any more of your time. I just want to say go Buckeyes.
Right. Thanks for calling in.
Thanks, Lisa.
Bye.
That was a good call.
That was an excellent call.
That was an excellent call. Thank you, Lisa.
Good job, Lisa. It's very good. I like it. She knows what she's talking about. Like I told her, we have to bring up the other points. But I don't think there's any way you keep an undefeated Ohio State out of that championship game. Say what you will about the schedule they played this year and the teams that they, may have struggled against. They still are undefeated. There's something to be said about that. We'll see what happens.
We will. I think the one thing that's going to really pass over time is the Urban Meyer thing.
Well, the question is, how long until Herb gets tired of what he's doing too,
Well, I mean, Urban Meyer, everyone's still on. Hey, I was going to tell her before she hung up. I give Urban Meyer a lot of crap because I tell a lot of people that when Ohio State starts playing bad, Urban Meyer will have more heart problems. But still, that's going to pass. Urban Meyer has proven himself. He's a good coach. I give him a lot of crap, probably mostly because he was from Florida and was a Florida coach. But yeah, you know.
Well, yeah, there's a little bit of bias there. I honestly, but the thing is, Urban Meyer's done it wherever he's gone. He had a successful program at Bowling Green. He had a successful program at Utah. He's had an undefeated team almost everywhere he's gone, and there's something to be said about that. So, you know, again, I don't want to take away too much about, you know, you win 24 straight games. Again, you can't control the schedule or the lack of talent on that schedule. Still winning 24 straight college football games, no matter how you shake it out, is an impressive feat. And so I don't want to, you know, take too much away from that. It's definitely something to be said about that. So,
There absolutely is.
so you know, that 24 games in a row is 24 games in a row. But, you know, I had to point out that until today, facing number 2 Michigan State's the first top 15 team they've faced since Urban Meyer got there, and that is important to point out. You know, so you know, look, the Big Ten's been down for quite a while. I don't think there's really too many people out there outside of Big Ten conference fans and so forth that will argue the fact that the Big Ten is just not what it used to be. You know, they thought that they were going to make themselves better by bringing in the Nebraskas. I don't know that you're making your conference better by bringing in Rutgers and bringing in Maryland, which are, I mean, Maryland's a toss-out team from the ACC. Rutgers is a toss-out team from the Big East. When those are the kind of teams that you're adding to your conference, you're not improving it. You're only making it weaker.
You are.
I thought bringing Nebraska in there was a pretty good move. I just not so sure that it was the best move for Nebraska. Nebraska hasn't been, you know, at the top of their game for quite a while, like they were in the '90s, and they're having some troubles too. So, so we have another caller lined up.
We do. It's actually Vito.
Okay.
Vito will be on the show shortly. Do you want a
Okay.
break, or do you want to just get
Well,
him right on?
let's kind of is he on the line now?
No,
Okay.
I have to call it back.
Okay. Well, our guest is almost lined up here. We'll just kind of finish where we're going with this. There's only other couple college football teams games on the schedule today. Anyway, my pick today, I am actually going to pick the upset, and I am picking Michigan State to win this football game today. I do have a lot of concerns, like I was telling Lisa, that I'm not so sure that Michigan State has enough offense. Even if you hold Ohio State to about 21 points, I'm not sure. I don't know. Can Michigan State score that many? But I think that their defense is something that Ohio State hasn't faced all year or in quite a while. It's going to be interesting, so I'm looking forward to it. That's my upset pick for today. What are you taking?
I'm going to go with Michigan State here.
You weren't. That's not the smirk was telling me. The smirk was telling me you wanted to go with Ohio State. Now you're being difficult.
No, think about this. You know, I think about it. You know, I'm a very honest person. You know, Ohio State does have probably one of the top offenses in NCAA football right now. But you know what? Like we've been talking about, they haven't faced anybody good. They haven't faced a top defense like Michigan State. And when you have a top defense like Michigan State, how great is Ohio State's offense really?
Yeah.
They'll prove it today.
We'll find out.
They'll prove it today.
We'll find
Michigan
out.
State.
Okay. And then Michigan State it is. Other game I'd like to touch on is Stanford, Arizona State, a Pac-12 championship game. Both teams 10-2. I do have a mild following for Arizona State. I've got some family that are alumni there and almost transferred there myself, believe it or not. And they're playing in the desert, Arizona State. They got Stanford at home. I think Arizona State's on the rise. I think Stanford's kind of on a little bit of a downside. I like Arizona State in this game. But I'm looking forward to that game as well. I know a lot of people here probably aren't, but that game's on tonight.
I'm going Stanford.
All right, fair
I will
enough.
go Stanford.
Okay, fair enough. We already talked about the SEC championship game. Actually, we started to. Who do you got, Auburn or Missouri?
I want Auburn.
Not who you want.
No,
who do you think's
I'm making
gonna...
my pick. I think Auburn's got it.
Okay.
I think Auburn beating Alabama is going to push them. They know, but the thing is both teams do have a possible shot at winning or getting into the
Well,
BCS title game.
I think they both know they have a lot to play
Yeah,
for.
they do.
Here's my thinking is that maybe Auburn may be a little bit exhausted from last game. And I don't mean physically. I think mentally. Winning a game of that nature, of that importance at that time, and the way they won it, I think that emotionally that can just take a lot out of you. Not saying you can't get back up for a game like this, but it can be difficult to rebound after a win like that. I like Missouri in this game. I got to be honest.
No, and you know what? You make valid points. You know, Auburn's been through a lot, and you know, I really do. You know, Missouri does have a great chance of winning today.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, I got to take Auburn. I got to
Okay.
take the team that's up on the uprise right
Gotcha. Fair enough. Look. I think it could go either way.
now. Oh, this game, absolutely.
Other game got the Oklahoma versus Oklahoma State. Another Big 12 matchup today. I think that Oklahoma State kind of exposed Baylor last week. Everybody had Baylor talking about Baylor in the national championship picture, and then they got exposed. Oklahoma State jumped all the way up to number 6. They're a nice 10-1 team, facing 9-2 Oklahoma. I think Oklahoma's had 2 games this year where they've had a chance to show how good they are, and they've fallen flat, and those are their 2 losses. I like Oklahoma State in this game.
Yeah.
You don't have an opinion either way.
No, I don't.
Because you don't even know
But
anything
here's
about
my
this
thing,
conference.
and you know what? Actually, I do have an opinion. Oklahoma isn't as good as they have been in the past this year. I'm going Oklahoma State.
All right. Well, moving on to another Big 12 game. Speaking of Baylor, 10-1 facing the Texas Longhorns, who had a rough start of the beginning of the year. I think Texas has come on
Yes.
at the end of the year. I think they're finally playing well together. They got together. Baylor got exposed a little bit by Oklahoma State. I like Texas to expose that. I see Baylor losing their second game in a row. I'm taking Texas in this game.
You know, Baylor's got a solid team. You know, they're a good team, but you know what?
Offensively, they're amazing.
Yes, but you know, you have it is 8-3 Longhorns against 10-1 Bears. I gotta go Baylor. You have to. And you know, the reason I say that is Baylor, like you said, Baylor's offense is really good.
Right, but they were exposed.
They were. But I think Baylor's going to take it today, and that's a game to watch. Also, that's on at 3:30 on Fox. That's a game to watch today as well.
All right. Well, the last game I got on here worth talking about, and I only bring it up because it's for your interest only. The UCF Knights against the SMU Mustangs. UCF, the University of Central Florida, hour down the road from here. Actually, the largest school in the state of Florida. 10-1. They have qualified. They will be in their first BCS game ever, and they're probably going to get lit up by whoever they face, but they will be there. And UCF should win this game easily and make that BCS bowl appearance.
And that is, you know, now the only reason, folks, this is relevant is because UCF is probably where I'm going to end up attending college. UCF Knights have this game easily.
Yep.
No contest. Forget it.
With Coach O'Leary over there, who held the Notre Dame job for one day.
Yeah.
It's done well for that program. So those are the college picks for today. We're gonna take a quick break here. We have our guests coming up. Stay tuned. Big Vito Lagrasso, former wrestling superstar, is going to come on. Talk a little bit with him. Talk about his school, what he's doing, and maybe get his opinion on some of this football stuff that's going on. So stay tuned, and we'll be right back with you. Do you have his too? I do. are back. We are back, and we have our guest on the line. Our guest is former wrestling superstar, Big Vito LoGrasso. Vito, are you there?
Now, is that the way to introduce me?
Hey, I got it.
I'll let Zach do the honors
You guys blew it.
You're
You guys,
right.
I'll do it myself.
Let's go for it,
Do
Vito.
it myself because you guys are still green, still rookies. Of all my teachings, you're still jobbers. So here it goes.
Fair enough. I'm not like the Brooklyn Brawler, I think. Go ahead,
You
Vito.
just ruined the show.
Well, appreciate you
I'm the
calling.
Pavarotti of hard shots to the body. The Paisan has got it going on. That Florida Italian guy from SI started as a rookie in the WWF, became an ECW original, a former WCW champion, a member of the NYC and TNA, and the toughest man to ever wear a dress in the WWE from the FBI, the one, the only, Big Vito the Skull LoGrasso from Staten Island, New York, movie star, and who in the hell is the Lock? That B-movie bump. Move over.
Awesome stuff.
He does still have the greatest introduction out of anybody I've ever
Yeah,
met
I
in my
couldn't have
entire
done that at all. So, yes. Well,
All
welcome,
right, guys. You're salivating all over the place. Wipe them out. Blow your noses, and let's get on with the interview.
Sounds good. Well, hey, Vito, it's been a while. How you been, man? Talk about what's going on. What's the happenings over at your school?
Everything's doing good. We had the grand opening. I had my boys cover the event. They did an outstanding job as usual. Right now, the school's doing well. We're getting some more students. A lot of people are excelling wrestling. The Kids at School program is doing very well. I have a few personal trainers that are coming, trainees, that are coming in, and they're doing very well as well. And looking forward to the new year, getting some more students, and hopefully